everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to episode 6 of Adventures in Happiness. I am here today with my friend Camille Finan, also known as the Kitchen Coach, and we are back for part 2 of the series because last week, if you guys got to see, I really got out of my comfort zone and showed you my kitchen. And I just think it's so crazy that Camille has been able to do what she's done for me without even ever coming into my kitchen. And I definitely want to show you guys the pictures, the drawings that she sent me. But before we get into that, I just want Camille to say hello to everybody. We're going to check and see who's hopping on with us so we can say hello to you. If you are jumping on either on the replay or if you're here today live with us, will you please let us know, because I can't see you. I don't know who's here watching with us. I don't get notifications unless you say hello.
Tell them to put their name in. They have to put their name in the Be Live comment.
Oh, okay. Put your name in the Be Live comment.
You don't see the name.
Oh, I thought I did, but no. I thought I did last time. Yes, I did. I think only if... Where'd you go?
No, I'm just turning my volume down.
Oh, because I'm shouting. I'm shouting. I haven't done that.
And let me just share. I'm sharing.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's check on Facebook. Let's make sure everything's hooked up. It looks like there are people here with us. I don't know who you are until you say hello to me, so please say hello.
Well, they have to say their name.
And have to say their name. But last time I could see them when we did it before, so I don't know if that's going to show up. But say your name. Say hello to us, because we really appreciate you jumping on. It's really fun. I know we had some people last time. I got some really great messages from people last time, questions that they had, and I said, like, look, if you guys have questions, and actually at the end of this, I'm going to wrap it up and let you know how Camille, there's many ways you can get in touch with her. There's many ways that she can assist you with your kitchen dilemmas as well. Today, I want to show, first of all, what she did last week, because I just think it's bananas and crazy that without even, I got to add these, I got to show you guys, because without her even ever setting one foot in my kitchen, she was able to give me these drawings. I mean, first of all, if you can see that, the layout of my kitchen that is incredible. I hadn't seen these until she sent them to me yesterday. And so I hadn't seen them up close. And I was just like, oh, let's see, because how is that even possible? And how is that even possible, Camille, that you do that? Like, it's all in measurements. That just blows my mind.
You're right. I didn't really realize that I'm good at visualizing, right? Like, I mean, I guess it's just because I've done it so many times that it's the same. I'm still using my same system designed from the inside out. So I'm using the same concepts, multiple times with every client. And so when you've done that like thousands of times, I can just sort of look at a space at this point and I can see where those same concepts are going to work or not work. So it's just repetition. It's just doing it over and over and over again. And kitchens are all about constraints. Like, I'm basically, my job is like a surgeon. Well, I'm like, well, you have $5, so here's what we can do with $5. So it's kind of like that in the sense of, well, you have a window here and a doorway here and a walkway here and a stove there and a fridge there. We can't do anything with those. So I'm only working with what's left. And when you think about what's left after you take the things that aren't going to change out, then I'm just applying the same things I do every time. Does that make sense? So,
well, it does.
It seems kind of magical, but it's really just, I remove all the stuff I can't change, the things that are not going to be changed because they cost a lot of money, right? And most families cannot do that. They're not going to move windows and doors, and they don't need to, right? They don't need to. So I've just learned after a lot of time doing the same thing, I'm just looking for those little areas of opportunity, and I just do it quicker. Right? I just do it quicker because I know what I'm looking for.
Well, you know what I think? I just think it's funny because my kitchen's kind of quirky in the way that it's laid out. There's angles and stuff, and you got that. Like you nailed it. You nailed it because you're a carpenter, right? That's what you did. So I want to show you, so now I have up. You had done one wall, and then and I love what you did on there. It's just for me to be able to see it. And then you did this other wall.
Are you showing it on? Are you showing it on screen right now?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
there we go.
I know
yeah.
it's probably really hard for people to see, but and maybe if I just put it up there by itself for a second, no, that's not working. But you know what happens is that when you give someone a vision for something, then you're able to make a plan. And up until now, I had a lot of photos and I had, a million ideas, and I was getting tangled up, obviously, in just seeing what was actually already there. Yeah. And so being able to see, like, even this morning when I was looking at these and getting ready for this, I just got so excited about the fact that now I feel like it can make it happen, where before it just seemed so big and so overwhelming and everything. So I want to first of all thank you for doing that for me, because that was last weekend was crazy, over and above. I had no idea what we were getting into. I had no idea that it was going to be an hour and a half long. I really wish that I had prizes for people that stuck with us that whole time. That was crazy, but I know people.
It was crazy. Joey stayed all the way to the end, I think.
Yes, Joey was there.
I know.
And I told you, Joey sent me messages, and Joey's remodeling her. I mean, they're doing her kitchen, so I know it's really helping people, like what you're doing. People are thinking about remodeling their kitchen, or actually you could use the same kind of these lessons for any kind of job that you need to do around your house. I mean, we learned so much about it. But for today, this is what I'm really excited about, because I want to go deep with you. Like, I want to open your kitchen cabinets this time, and I want to know what you're all about. Like, I want to hear your story, because I've never heard it, and I want to know how you got to doing what you're doing. So can you just give us take us on a journey of how you got to where you are to be a female carpenter?
Right. Well, it's a long story, a long and involved process, but the short version is that, so I'm almost 50. So, and I still look pretty young, but people are kind of surprised that I'm almost 50. But the short version is that my dad was a contractor, so my sister and I grew up on job sites with him, running around in dresses on job sites, and so we were very comfortable with tools and very comfortable in that environment when I was a kid. And this is back in the 70s in California, and he was building whole houses from the very beginning, from the foundation up. So I got to really see a vision from nothing, right? Dirt to a whole entire house. And he was also a cabinet maker, which was very unusual. Usually either you're a general contractor and you handle sort of the big rough stuff, or you handle the pretty stuff, right? It's pretty unusual to do both. So I was lucky enough to be born to a dad who could, make the road and pour the concrete and build the structure with the 2x4s and put the roof on and put the windows in. But he also had a cabinet shop, and so he also built the actual cabinets that went in the house. So one is like rough skills, and one is very fine craftsmanship. And most contractors don't do both, right? They're one or the other. So I probably got a lot of the ability to envision things and see things through all the way through completion. And then my parents got divorced, so he left, but my early years were a lot of that. So I got to see him making stuff all the time. And
wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Wait, I'm going to interrupt you if I have a question.
Yeah, I'm good.
I can't hold it. I won't remember. So when you were young like that, like how old were you when you were doing that sort of thing?
Since we were little, like 3 years old, 4 years old, he was like our babysitter. We would be on his job site like all the time.
Would he let you like do stuff? Or
he never held us back. He never told us we couldn't do anything. We weren't like using a skill saw at
obviously,
but it was very much just like whatever you want to do. Like we'll do whatever you want. So, but we were sweeping and cleaning and picking up sawdust and going and getting lunch for the guys that were working. And I mean, we were just like, that was like our daycare, right? We were just in that environment, and we were at his shop. And anything I wanted to learn, he would just teach us how to do it. I didn't learn how to use a skill saw, obviously, at 9, but it was just, we were just around it all the time. So I was very comfortable with that. I wasn't intimidated at all. And I think it was just the whole, like, you can do whatever you want. Like, that was probably the biggest lesson without even knowing that's what was
Wow,
happening,
that's
right?
great.
Yeah, he didn't teach us like, he didn't treat us like we were girls and like we couldn't do anything.
Oh, well, that was really, I guess that was really what I was getting at, because
Yeah.
I mean, in the 70s, times were so much different than
Exactly.
they are now. And
Yeah.
did he make you like all kinds of stuff? Like, would he make you
Yes,
things?
he
My
did.
grandfather was a woodworker, so
Yeah.
this is big for me.
Yeah, he made us all kinds of cabinetry and furniture and just beautiful stuff, all the time. So, so then when he left, I went away to move to the Bay Area, and because I wanted to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, I wanted to own my own company, and so I worked for many years. I was a waitress. I did all kinds of things to support myself. But went to college, and in the meantime, I was always remodeling every house I was in, every apartment I was in. Like, I was always doing that on the side, just as like a hobby. That was like my fun thing to do. And in that time period, I kind of went from being like a bad student in high school, which was rough because my dad had just left, so I wasn't a great student, to really becoming, over like a 13-year period, a really good student. But it took a long time for me to become a good student. And then I really loved school. I found out I really loved learning. So I kind of went from hating school to thriving in school and getting straight A's and doing really well.
Wow. Why? What was that? Because I think, I'm not a student. I didn't really like school. I love learning. So that's really fascinating to me, because what was the change in that? Was it because, like, why? What changed that? Because you were opened up to different types of learning, or?
Yeah, and just repetition. I think I had always had a lot of grit and a lot of resilience, wrapped around ambition. Which, when I tell you the rest of the story, you'll realize why that's not always great. But I was very, very driven, and I know now that I'm older that I was really trying to fill a hole from missing my dad and wanting his approval, and not directly, but just subconsciously, right? So I was very, very driven, and the short answer is probably just I had a couple of great teachers, and up until then, I'd never really connected with any of my teachers, right? So I think I had like I failed like my math class. I was horrible at math, and so I failed one of my math classes, and I had to retake it. And I happened to get this woman. I still remember her name. This was a long time ago. Diane Satin. She was the first female mathematician I'd ever met. And she was amazing. I mean, she basically took me being remedial math, really, and I became an A student in that class. Wow. And just because of the power of a great teacher, she knew how to explain it to me to get me excited enough to do the work. And so that was like a really big little success in that one quarter. And then I also had a statistics teacher, which again is mathematically based, and I got a D in the first time I took it. And so I had to retake it, and I happened to get this amazing Russian male teacher that just was incredible, and he just made it so interesting and spent so much time with me that I got an A in that class. And so I had a couple little experiences like that where I was like, I saw myself one way as being a horrible student and not good at math and not able to figure this stuff out. I mean, I was so far behind the curve at this point, right? And then I realized, wow, I can actually do really well in this. And so then I started really, really applying myself. And again, I was taking all business courses, which is a lot of math based, right? And so it took 13 years. I mean, it was a very long journey, and I was, struggling and didn't have any money and was paying for everything myself. So it was a very long arc to get to the point where I was actually really thriving, and I felt like I could compete I felt like I could compete with my peers. I mean, I wasn't going to Stanford, I wasn't going to Harvard, but I mean, I felt like I wasn't stupid, right? I felt like, wow, I could actually do this if I apply myself.
Well, I never realized until now that I'm with my boys and they're going through school, and they have had some of the most incredible teachers, and I can see in them the changes in them, and how these teachers are able to bring out and actually meet them where they are,
Yep.
and bring out the best in them. And then we've also had we've had the other side of that. We've had not very many, but we've had a couple of teachers that, and just to be able to see the difference between
the motivation and
so good at their job and so good at understanding each person, each student. And that's the same in like what we're doing here. You know, when we connect with someone, when we connect with learning with someone here online, that we still have teachers. We're still learning how to do things here online. And when we're able to connect, and also when we're able to, that's one of the things that's been really cool this year about being in the group that you and I, how we know each other. And the things that we know is that people, when people look at you from outside of you and see things that you can't see in yourself and bring them out in you, that unfolding of that, you can't do that by yourself. You have to have a great teacher.
They literally believe in you. Really, they believe in a part of you that you haven't even believed in yourself yet.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Well, okay, so go on. Like, let's hear the rest of your story.
Yeah. So because of, I think, a couple of those very positive experiences where I went from really negative, like, oh my God, I got a D, I got an F, to how can I do it again? How can I do better this next time? And then I really started, that was probably like 4 or so years in. And that's when I started to realize I had control of the process. Up until then, I didn't really realize how much there is to learn about going to college. Right? To me, college was just going to college. You're either great at college or you suck at college.
Oh, I so get that.
I didn't realize like how much variety there is and in the experience. And so then I really started to look for fantastic teachers. I wouldn't just take the classes that they came up. I wouldn't just wait till the last minute. I didn't just look at, oh, that econ class is like this econ class. No, then I really started to look for the teachers that I knew I wanted. And when that started happening, then I was very strategic about my education at that point. I was looking for teachers that I knew I would engage for. I would wait for their classes. I would, I was in control of my own journey at that point. I started to really get it, the importance of a great teacher. And when I had a teacher that was really mediocre and I wasn't going to get very much, I knew like, okay, it's mostly on me. I'm going to have to try even harder. And maybe this won't be that great of an experience, but my other 4 classes will be. So that's when I kind of started to thrive as a student, I would say. I started to go from just sort of coasting and not really knowing what's coming up to being in charge of my education and really hungry for getting something out of the teacher. I would go to all the office hours. I would sit at the front of the classroom. I would connect with them afterwards. I was engaged, right? Then I got more out of it. So I became a better student. Then it became easier, right? The more you do it, the better you are. It became easier to get better grades. And then you get even more confidence. So by the end of that,
in yourself, you believe you can
do that journey. So I ended up going from, I'm not a great student in high school to a double major in business development and entrepreneurship and an MBA in marketing. So
wow.
With 3 degrees.
Wow. That's a lot.
And so my MBA ended up because several of my teachers said, most people never come back for their MBA. You should just keep going. Just keep going and get your MBA. We see a lot of promise in you. We really think you should continue. And so I graduated 1 week, and literally the very next Monday, I was already enrolled in graduate level classes. I never had a quarter off. I never had a single quarter off that whole time.
Did you know what you were getting yourself into at that point?
That's why I'm saying. That's why you can kind of see where the story's progressing. Like I was very driven. I was very driven. Very much a workaholic. A AAA personality. And so then when I got through my MBA, when I was almost finished with my MBA, one of my marketing, the marketing department chair, Chong Lee, I still remember her too. She also came to me and said, hey, you've done so well in this program. On the side, I was also starting my own businesses. So I'd had other businesses on the side. And she said, wow, you're like our star student. You're the only person actually starting businesses. Even the teachers aren't starting businesses and they're teaching entrepreneurship and they don't even own a business, right? So she said, we would love for you to become a teacher here. And I was like, what? Right? Like, I'm almost done, right? I was so looking forward to not being in school. I'd been in school this whole time. And it was actually an hour and a half drive. So I have to drive an hour and a half and go to school all day and then an hour and a half home. So it was like a big journey, those 13 years. But it was just such a great opportunity that, again, I was very ambitious. And so I just said yes. So I finished my quarter, got my MBA, and
How long did that take?
That was, well, 13 years overall I was in college.
Well, how long is the MBA? I'm just curious.
The MBA is 1 year.
Oh, I thought it was 2 for some reason.
Yeah, actually the MBA was the easiest part of the whole journey, because by then I was already a really good student. Like, I knew what I knew, and I knew what to do, and I knew how to make that work, right? And it was a routine. I'd already been in college for a really long time. So anyway, so I finished that, and like 2 weeks later, I started teaching graduate level courses. So I went from being in school to still driving an hour and a half to teach 6 or 7 of their graduate level marketing classes, all in the evenings. So, because all graduate classes are in the evening, 6 to 10 at night. So I would still run my other business during the day, and then I would go and teach marketing classes in the evenings. So I did that for 6 years. And on top of that, I was also had my own consulting company. So I did business marketing, business development for my own clients. Plus I owned a blanket manufacturing company. So to say that I was overworked and
wait. Yeah. A blanket manufacturing company?
So while I was in college, I started 2 different companies, or 2 different production companies. One was, we made a blanket, like a fleece blanket, and I sold them all over. I sold them to QVC. I did a whole bunch of stuff. And then I bought a second company, and we made robes for the spa industry. So here, we live in California, like Napa, and we'd send them to all over the United States. All like high-level spas, we would make their robes. And I still really love making things by hand, right? I love the crafting of the design of the product and the packaging and all that. So, so I was doing that, but I was also doing a lot of business development and marketing for clients. So I was very, very overworked, right? Severely stretched, right? I'd been going 100,000 miles an hour for many, many years. And I was completely unhappy, right? I was making a ton of money. I was doing a lot of stuff, but I mean, I had hundreds of clients or hundreds of students, and you have to grade all their marketing plans, all their business plans, right? So every class, you have tons of homework, plus prep, plus presentations. And I loved the teaching part, right? I loved the actual, when you're on part with the students, but there's a lot of administration stuff you have to do. Totally. And so I basically kind of had like a nervous breakdown, I would say. And so it just sort of hit a head where I had all these plates in the air and just spinning madly, and I was doing them all well and making money, but just, I mean, I was just, I just wasn't taking care of myself at all. And so I got to a point, it's been a long time now, but I got to a point where I basically was ready to commit suicide. I just couldn't see any way to stop the train. Like, I couldn't figure out, like, how do I say no to this university that gave me this great opportunity, and I love my colleagues, and they all depend on me, and I love my students. What am I going to tell them? And I have all my clients. What am I going to tell them? And I have employees, and I have sales orders, and like, I just couldn't figure out how to stop it all, right? Like, there was just no easy answer.
I've been there. I know.
So I was really stuck, and so I found myself like on my bathroom. I've been trying to figure out what to do for months and months and months, and I didn't know anything about depression, right? I didn't know anything really about mental health at this point. I didn't realize that I was basically just burning through all my serotonin, right? Like, I just burnt it gone, right? There was probably no serotonin left in my brain. And I just like couldn't even get up anymore. I couldn't eat. And so I found myself, in my bathroom with my gun, and I was about to pull the trigger, and I literally just freaked myself out. I realized, wow, this is really, really bad. And so I called my mom and I just said, I'm about to shoot myself. Like, you have to come and get me. Like, you have to come and get me. Like, I'm really freaked myself out. And she could tell, like, she could hear me. So, so she immediately drove down, her and my stepdad, and got me. And her and my sister and brother-in-law basically just took care of me. I couldn't even, like, I just nosedived. I just ran myself into the ground. Mm-hmm. So that was like the first time I really stopped and started thinking about what I was doing. And so that was like a really hard time. I had to get rid of my house. I had to shut down my business. I had to shut down my other businesses. I had no money. I had to give up all the money. I stayed teaching for a while, but I eventually, had to make the choice to leave that. You can't really do it like I was doing it sort of part-time, but you're still there like 4 days a week. Mm-hmm. So I had to let that go. So it was really hard to let go of all these things that I had spent so much time developing, right? Like thousands of hours to be really good at doing what I was doing. But it just wasn't working. It just was not working anymore. And so that started a period of sort of remodeling my own life and trying to figure out what I want to do. And, it was really hard. Like, there was no really easy answer because I wasn't qualified to do anything else, right? I just spent all this money on going to school.
All that school, yeah.
All that time, and I just, I didn't want to do any of it. I just didn't want to do it. I was good at it, but I didn't want to do it. And so it took a while. It took a lot of sniveling and complaining and, bouncing around. And eventually my sister, who doesn't even remember this conversation, it's really funny, but in the meantime, I was still remodeling all my houses. I was always building something, creating something, crafting something. And I was very comfortable with tools. And so my sister's the one who actually said, I told you this is a long story. I'm trying to make it short. My sister's the one that said, oh my God, just stop complaining and just become a carpenter, for God's sakes. She's the one that said the words, just become a carpenter. That's what you do with all of your free time, right? All your friends' houses you remodeled, all of your own houses you remodeled, all your rental property, everything you've ever touched, you're constantly remodeling it. And so it just, I never even thought about it up until then. And so it just started this niggling thought that just wouldn't go away. And so after sitting on it for a while, I was just so mad at myself, right? Just so fed up, oh my God, you're way too highly educated. Just do something, right? And so one day I was just so fed up that I just said, I'm just going to see if I can do it. I'm just going to face my fear and I'm just going to see if I can do it. I'm going to walk on to the next job site that I see and I'm just going to try. I'm just going to see if I can even do it. So I did. So it was I picked the worst possible time to start. It's 105 here, brutally hot in the middle of summer. And I see a small job site in this town where I live. And there's a bunch of Mexicans working out front, and there's a couple people milling around, right? It was kind of like a small job site. So I just walked on, got in my car, and I'm just walk out there, Camille, just go, right? So I did. I walked into the little guy that's sitting in a trailer, and I said I'd like a job. And I was 20 pounds lighter, probably 25 pounds lighter, 100 pounds. Looked even younger, looked really young. I'm 5'2", 5'3", and so little, right? Little. And I said, yeah, I'm just seeing if you guys have any work. And he was as shocked as I was that I actually said the words out loud. And he said, I don't know. Why don't you come back tomorrow and we'll see. And so I just turned around. I walked back out. And started, immediately crying in my car. I was just oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. And then I went back the next day. I went and bought some clothes, some rough clothes, and showed up the next day at 6 a.m. And we dug ditches all day. And I think they just thought I was going to leave. And I just kept coming back.
Okay, wait, I got to stop you because this is crazy. Because I thought you were saying that you were going to go put the kitchen cabinets in the construction site, but my husband does construction, okay? Yeah. And I've had to go maybe on 1 or 2 occasions to his job sites.
Job site, yeah.
And there's there's no women anywhere around.
No,
And
there's
what's so
no
funny is
women.
when you're a female
Yeah.
and you walk onto a job site, I remember this so vividly when I went the last time I had to go get him at work because his phone wasn't working. Everybody is like looking at you because it's very obvious that
100%.
you don't belong in this environment. And I think that is what is so interesting about this. So this is crazy. So you're digging the ditches, like you're doing actual construction.
Yeah, so I'm surrounded by like 5 other huge Mexican guys with no shirts on, just sweat. I mean, just dripping sweat. Like it's just miserable.
Yeah, it's a good workout.
And I'm just all I think about is I'm just gonna keep digging. I am not gonna be the first person to stop. I don't care if my shovel's not as full as everybody else. Like I'm not gonna be the person that stops, right? But yeah, no, it was really fucking hard. Like really, really hard. Not physically hard. I mean, yeah, it was sweaty and uncomfortable, but it was more just like the mindset, like a mindset. You just have to push yourself out of that comfort zone.
Have you ever seen another woman on one of these jobs ever?
Never. In 20 years, I've never seen another woman.
I've seen, my husband was just the other day telling me about there's like this rumor going around that there's a female plumber, like a female construction plumber. And that is just, that's like very rare.
It's still like a unicorn. I mean, I have,
totally
I have a podcast where I interview other women in the trades, and there's lots more women doing stuff, but I'm not, it's like seeing a unicorn. You still don't see women anywhere, okay? We're all spread out. So no, I never saw, the only other two women I ever saw was when I went through my apprenticeship at the union. There was 2 other women in that, and only 2 of us of the 3 of us made it out of there. And then one of that girl's not even working in the trades at all. So that's the only time. I've never seen another woman on a single job site ever this whole time. So, yeah, so it was hard, but I did, I faced that fear, and I proved to myself just in that tiny little thing, I'm just not going to give up. I don't know where this is going. There's no plan in sight. All I know is what I'm doing now is not fucking working. What I am doing now is not working. Like I basically was going to kill myself. That's how miserable I am. So I'll just try something different, right? I'll try something new. And I like physical activity. And that's it. That was my plan. And so I just, we did that for a few days. And then I think the boss realized that I probably knew more than I was that I was more comfortable and I knew some things. So he would ask me, he'd come out like every couple days and be like, hey, do you want to do some moldings? Do you know how to use a chop saw? And I'm like, yes. And do you want to do some moldings, or do you want to do some painting, or do you know how to do sheetrock and texture? And so he would just throw me into something, and then he could see that I could do it, or he'd have an older guy show me what to do, and I could do it. I learned it, and they just would leave me alone, and I would just do that and do that and do that. So I kept kind of moving up in that company, and I did that for probably like a year I was there. And in that year, I really saw that, wow, I'm actually doing this. Like I'm actually doing it. I'm doing it, right? So I proved to myself that I could do it. And then it was just a matter of like, well, what do I actually want to do in this industry? Like, where do I want to go? What gets me excited? And that was like a whole nother journey from that day, that company that I worked for, to where I am now was like a whole other lifetime of skills. And so it wasn't like direct. It wasn't just like A to B. It was kind of circuitous. It took me a while to really figure out of all the things you can do in the trades. Like there's so many things you can do. And it did. It took me a while to figure out I love doing kitchens, right? Like I love all the pieces of a kitchen. So it wasn't just like overnight. So that journey condensed is like, I worked for I would move up and I'd kind of hit a ceiling. Like I could tell, like I could do the job and I could maybe do it better, faster, easier, but they weren't going to move me up any higher. So I'd quit that company. I'd slide sideways, right? I'd take the skills I got. I'd slide to another company. I'd work there for a while. I'd find out, oh, okay, I hit that ceiling. I'm not going to progress anymore. I'd take that. I'd slide sideways. And I just kept doing that for a while with a couple of different companies. And then eventually, because I'm ambitious, too ambitious, right? I kept thinking, that whole like imposter syndrome, like I don't know enough. Everybody still knows more than I know. Like, I don't really know if I'm a carpenter or not. How could I know? Like, how would I know that I'm a carpenter, right? How will I know? What's the end game, right? So then I got into my head, well, if I join the union, if I join the carpenters union, then I'll know what everybody else knows. I didn't really need to, but I did. Okay. So I basically got into the apprenticeship program at the Carpenters Local 152 and went through their apprenticeship program. When I was in there, I realized, oh, I actually know all this stuff already. I could have just skipped this part. It doesn't matter. And I had like a whole nother experience of being sent out to job sites. And the way that the Carpenters Union works is that I thought I would just get like a guaranteed job. That was my impression of the Carpenters Union, right? If you go through the training and you become certified, whatever, then they just give you a job and you're set, right? You have a salary. No, it's not what happens. You still have to go out and actually ask and get a job on a job site. It just is a union job site. So I had that whole same thing that happened at the beginning where I had to dig the ditches and all that. That happened all over again. So this time, you're a certified apprentice and you have to go to a job site that you don't know anybody. There's no women, not a single woman. This time there's hundreds of people there, all working, so it's very intimidating. You're the only small white woman to walk, young, and looks really young, right? I look probably 12. And you have to walk onto that job site, you have to find the superintendent, and you have to ask him for a job. And he just looks at you and he decides. And you go to the next job and you go to the next job. And
how difficult, I got to stop you. How difficult was that? Because I just feel like, having never walked on a job site and asked for a job before, I feel like guys would be like, yeah, no, you can't do that. Like, that's not even possible. It's not even possible. You don't belong here. Did you run into that?
Oh, yeah. No, I probably went to, once I got out of the training and they sent us off to go get our jobs, I probably went to 20 job sites, I'd say, where it was just an automatic, nope, we're full, nope. They just looked at me and they're like, nope. And you got to go through all those people. It's like you got to get out of your car. You got to walk in front of all those people. Everybody knows what you're there for, right? And they all know you're not going to get the job. Like, it's it's like it's like being an actress, right? Or an actor going on an audition. You just have to like pump yourself up for the few minutes, and then you just have to try to let it go when you leave. Like, it's no reflection on me. It's just part of the game. It's just part of the game. And you don't know anybody there, so you don't have any buddies to give you, like, it's just, it's very demoralizing. But luckily I got to my very first union job site. I still remember it, Dundee Construction, John Dundee. And he was kind of like that first guy. I don't think he thought I could do it, but he was willing to let me try. Right? It's just that simple. He was willing to just let me fail or whatever, right? And so it was just that little crack in the door, right? That little teeny opening in the door. So he's a huge guy. He was like 6'5", big, huge guy. And I was lucky that I got that job because he was an amazing craftsman. I mean, an amazing carpenter. So it was great that was kind of my first union job with him. Because I could have been some asshole that didn't teach me anything, and it was like a horrible experience, and I probably would have quit. But because I got that job, right, he said yes, and he used to do all these gorgeous renovations in San Francisco, and he was just amazing. Huge lobbies, 200-foot tall lobbies with finished panels all on the inside, and inlaid ebony, and elevators, and just gorgeous work, right? And so so I showed up for the job site with him the first day, once he said yes, and I just fucking fell in love. I just loved it. He was so good at what he was doing. He let me try anything I wanted. He would teach me anything I wanted. They never treated me like crap. They were just professional. All the guys that worked for him were actual real craftsmen. And I worked there for several years, and I absolutely loved it. And that's where I really actually got better. Up until then, I kind of knew most of the stuff, right? I was actually pretty good. but he actually made me a much better carpenter. And that's when I really started to feel really confident in myself. Like, oh wow, like I'm actually really good at this. Like this is great.
At that point, Camille, at that point, did you know that you like, did you have it somewhere in the back of your mind, like, this is not what I'm going to do forever? I was
hooked.
No,
I was hooked when I started working for Dundee Construction and seeing what's possible with carpentry and the skill sets that he knew and was teaching me, like, just was incredible. Laser, just all kinds of stuff, lasers, and just, I mean, like, incredible stuff. So no, that's when it really started to click, I think, where I was like, oh my God, like I really love this. Like I love this and I can be great at this.
Wow.
So I was really planning to stay and just like that was going to be my career. Like I probably would have been happy with that, but I have that thing in me, right? I like to be in charge. I have that entrepreneurship part of me, right? I like to own the business, right? I had all that background training and I just loved to own my own business. And so I wasn't unhappy there by any means. I mean, it was great. And, but they ended up going down south. I worked there for several years and then they would do big jobs down south. And I didn't want to go down to Southern California. I owned a house up here. Like I didn't, and so I ended up working for a couple other companies in the union and I did a bunch of stuff down south. I built like a bunch of shopping malls and colleges and just amazing stuff. But in that time period is when I really learned cabinetry and countertops. I started to focus down from framing and foundations and all these different things you can do in the union. But somewhere in that 3 or 4 year period, I started to really love finished carpentry. And so finished carpentry is all the pretty stuff, all the stuff you actually see at the end. Anything you can see is called finished carpentry.
Okay.
Rough carpentry is all the stuff that gets covered up that you don't see, right? So that's when I started to really focus on the really fine finished stuff and specifically cabinets and countertops. And so that sort of started a process of, so I worked in the union and then I would move up and then I'd get to a point where again, I was never going to be pushed any higher. And so I ended up leaving the union because the last piece of the puzzle for me at that point, I'd realized I could start a business doing this, right? That's when I really started to realize, wow, I should just start my own business and specifically in kitchens. And the last little piece of that puzzle was countertop fabrication. I've been installing countertops. I've been repairing countertops in the union. I've been doing a lot of things with countertops, but I wasn't fabricating them from the original slab, right? I was doing like the last 80%. I wasn't doing the first 20%. So I did another sort of bold thing. These 2 or 3 things are the only bold things I've actually done in my whole life. These brave moments. There's only like 2 or 3.
And they mean everything.
This was another very brave moment. Was I quit the union. I never finished my journey level certificate. I felt like I'd already sort of tapped out with what I could learn there. And I was never going to make any more money. I mean, I would make a little more money as a journeyman, but I didn't want to wait another 20 years to do that. Like I knew I could already do it on my own, right? But I needed that countertop piece. And so there's a local company here that is big on fabrication, a huge company, million dollar company. And I just said, I need to know how to fabricate countertops. I need to actually be the fabricator, not the installer. I need to be the fabricator. So this was probably my 3rd bravest moment ever in my life. That's it. There's only 3. I walked into that company. I didn't know anybody at all. I walked in and I said, I'd like to talk to the president. I actually can't even believe I did this. And I'd like to talk to the owner, who's the president. And I said, he ended up being Iranian. His name's Fadi. So he's not like a white guy. So like it was a very like, oh my God. So he's probably thinking, I can't believe this very small white girl is walking in and asking for a job in this industry where there's no women at all. Yeah. No women at all. It's all Mexican, 100%. That's the only people that fabricate, right? Maybe like 3 white guys out of like 200. And I said, I would like to learn how to do countertop fabrication. This is what I've been doing in the union. I think I'd be really good at it. Would you let me have a job here? And he was just like, stunned, right? And so I kept calling and I kept calling, and over a period of like 2 weeks, he finally was like, okay, here's, go to the back shop.
There's that tenacity again. See, you're not going to give up. You're not going to give up until you get what you want.
Well, right? And I didn't know that was the only place I could get that training. Really, there wasn't. If there had been another option, I probably would have done it, but there really wasn't nearby. And so I started, and so it was just me with all these guys, and I loved it though. I absolutely loved it. It was kind of like that first thing with Dundee Construction. I was like, oh my God, this is like incredible. And they paired me with a great guy. He was super nice and very professional. His name is Juan, and he ended up teaching me everything he knows. And so within about, I'd say about 3 months or 6 months, I became my own fabricator installer. Like, I was good enough that I could run my own jobs. And then from there, I went from hourly to piecemeal. And so with piecemeal, you install a kitchen every single day. So I went from hourly, where it doesn't matter how long it takes you to fabricate, to you only get paid if you install. So you fabricate and you install. And so you're like running like a little business within their business.
Oh, okay.
And that was fine with me because I knew I could do it. And so, so I made good money there. I really, really learned everything there is to know about countertops from the very beginning. And I loved it. And I probably would have stayed there. I probably would have stayed there for a while, but again, I sort of got that bug again. Like, I want to be the person in charge. And so, eventually I just said, I'm going to start my own company. And so then I started my kitchen cabinet company. So wow. It's a long journey. I know.
No, but you know, the thing is here, I think because I have like such an understanding of this, my husband recently got a new job, and he's always, obviously he works in construction. He does plumbing, contracting, and it's all, men. There's just men. It's men based. Yeah. And this new situation that dropped into his life, which was really magical and inspiring, I knew it was going to be different. Yeah. Because the person that was contacting him was the guy's wife. A man and a wife run a job together. And everything about the way this company is run is different than anything he's ever had in his 27-year career. And so when you have a woman, and we have so many people here, Joey's back. Joey loves hearing your story. This is so inspiring.
I love it.
See that? She says, what an amazing story. My friend Rachel is here listening. She says that too. That is just so crazy. But what I love is that you saw this is so changing within a profession that for many, many years, as long as it's ever been around, has always been the same. And you're going in and changing it. And I was telling this to Brandon the other day. I said, the reason why this job is so different is because there is a woman there, because we know things that guys just don't see. They don't recognize. Exactly. They don't, it's not their fault. They just don't have that ability to do things. And so then, just like what you did for me, and the way that you're able to go in and meet women on that same level and be on their level about talking to them, not talking down to them. Yep. I just think that is
listening to what they need and what's working,
not telling them,
solving the actual problems, right? Not just forcing it on them. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think, I don't know if you remember, I did that video called Women Are Natural Carpenters. I fucking believe that. I'm not kidding. Like, I really believe women are better at this naturally. Like, everybody thinks men are naturally good at it because they're stronger, but that's it. That is the qualification, because they're bigger and stronger. But there's so many more things that are necessary on a job site. Like, I'm trying to think of what they are. Like, multitasking. Women do multitasking better. Communication better. Empathy better. Ability to see problems and solve problems better. Visualizing, creativity better. Human relations, working with vendors, solving problems and issues and difficulties with vendors, which happen all the time. Right? Women better at that. Like, there's so many things, and women can do all the same stuff with the power tools and all that. Like, that has been proven. Women have great dexterity. They do camping, sewing, gardening, mothering, farming, animals. Like, cooking. Like women have been doing sewing, crocheting. They've been doing stuff with their hands forever.
Yeah.
Women are great with their hands. Like, you know, like all that stuff that everybody thinks is not natural for women. Actually, women are totally natural with all
Well, yeah,
that
because
stuff.
our whole lives, this
We've
is what
been
it's all
taught that we're
about.
not
That's why I was
natural.
asking you about your dad. Because
Yeah.
our whole lives, we've been told you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm more of the person of watch me. Watch me. I will. I can and I will. And I love that you're opening, you're opening open just like, okay, one of the things that I was going to tell you at the end, but this is a perfect time to do it.
Okay.
I want to tell everybody, like when I interview them, I want to say one thing that I have learned from someone, or learn from you, or learn from these people that I get to interview, I'm so blessed to have in my life. And I will tell you, that is the one word that I came up with for you. What I have learned from you is possibility. And that is what you are doing for women on not just a level of what's possible with their jacked up kitchens, but what is possible on a bigger level. Like you can totally do whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, women fly airplanes. They're mathematicians. They're physicians, physics. I mean, women do so many things. Why not construction?
We build babies. Women build babies. Listen,
they do. Exactly.
I can build a baby. If you can do that and go through childbirth, you can do anything. And I've actually told myself that. I have told myself that I have said that to myself. I have been in labor when I've been afraid and not wanting to do, or being afraid to step out of my comfort zone. I remind myself that I have been pregnant twice, sick the entire time, the whole 10 months, throwing up the whole entire time. And then, one 20-hour labor. And I've had two babies. I've been through two births of two babies. And then now raising them, I can do anything. There is nothing that a woman cannot do.
That's how I feel too. Yeah, I feel like it should just be natural that women are carpenters. Like they're so damn good at it. Like when I teach women power tools or how to do something, I'm like, they just take to it so naturally that it's like frustrating when people think women aren't good at it, because actually it's the opposite. Like in all my power tool classes, literally the women just take to it like they've been doing it their whole lives. They just need somebody to show them how to do it correctly. And then they just naturally take to it. So I definitely want to change that stereotype, because I think it's just ridiculous. Like it's just like saying men can't be caretakers and can't be nurturing. Men can be incredible fathers, incredibly nurturing. Like one is not more natural than the other. It's just the history, the stereotypes that we've built up.
Exactly.
So so that's how I came to do kitchen remodeling.
Well, and then
I loved it, right? And then I was really, really loved it, and I've been doing that for a long time now, and that's been a big journey, right? Like I had a lot to learn with doing a business in that, and actually making money in that, and finding my own style, and like I created my system that I sort of used with you, DFIO, designed from the inside out. So solving the problems first, then figuring out how to make things look pretty, but solving the problems first from the inside out. That probably took 10 years to develop, like over time, over thousands of kitchens. I started seeing the same problems over and over and over again. And I started seeing what the guys, my competitors were doing. And I'm like, that doesn't solve it at all. Why don't we just do this? Because we can. And I realized I was like the only person doing it. And so which I still don't even understand why. What I did for you was very simple. It wasn't very complicated. It's just that it takes thought. It takes the right kind of thought. And so, so once I kind of figured that out, then I had like a process that I would do with every client. Things got a lot easier, a lot simpler. I made a lot more profit because I wasn't reinventing the wheel. I was basically applying that process every time to every client. And it worked like 95% of the time. I mean, the results were just stunning. They love their kitchens. They function. Like you will love that kitchen. When you do that with someone, you will absolutely love that kitchen. Like I just
love looking at the pictures of my new kitchen.
I love
that. Even the possibility.
It'll be really pretty, and you'll love it how it looks and how it feels when you walk in. But I'm not kidding. When you cook in that kitchen, you're gonna absolutely love fucking cooking.
I know.
Every single thing is gonna be exactly where you need it.
It's going to be, I know I'm going to say,
it'll be effortless. It'll be absolutely effortless. Yeah.
I can't believe that I lived with this as long as I did, because I
What
mean,
other alternative? Like you didn't know another alternative. So yeah.
well, okay. So we
Yes.
got to
So
wrap this up. But now
okay.
listen,
I know. Sorry.
this is
Thanks,
the fun
Jody.
part
Great
because I
talk.
want to ask you questions. Okay, I want to ask you just a couple questions to close
Okay.
this
Got
out. And so, okay, so my first one, and I haven't told you, some of these I didn't tell you ahead of time, so I hope I don't put you on the spot. Oh, and actually what I want to know, because I think this isn't one of my questions, but what I wanted to know, and maybe I thought I heard you say this before, but how many kitchens have you done? Because I was like,
I haven't actually counted the entire amount, but I've done somewhere between 20 and 25 kitchens a month for many, many, many years.
wow.
So it's in the thousands I've done. And I've done them, I've done multiple kitchens for lots of the same clients too. So I've done their main house, their rental properties, their vacation house down south, their vacation house at Lake Tahoe. When they bought a house, they bought another house. So I've done 6 or 7 or 8 kitchens for one client over the years, because I've been doing this for a long time. So I've done multiple iterations for them. Their bathrooms, their entertainment centers, their little business offices. So a lot of cabinets, a lot of cabinets.
I think it's neat. First of all, don't worry, because you're going to do all of my houses. You're going to do the kitchen, all of my vacation house in Tahoe, my house in Hawaii.
Yeah, me too.
My ski lodge in Mammoth. You were going to do all those kitchens for me. But what I think is really important to this, and one of the things that I think that I'm really recognizing in myself, is because my journey to get here to doing what I'm doing today has been really, really difficult. And I'm very ambitious like you, and I'm very driven. And it's been a very frustrating journey a lot of times, and very sad and feeling very unfulfilled. But what I know now is that all of those things along my journey, everything that I went through, I needed all of that. I needed everything I learned to be able to get where I am. And I'm at the beginning of what I'm doing here.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's why I want to relay to people when they're watching these things, and maybe, they're still on their journey, or maybe they're sad about something, or maybe they haven't found their purpose or whatever, is that you are on the journey, and you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it will come together if you
make pivots, adjustments.
Yes.
Really, that's the one thing I did well. I didn't know it at the time, but I was just trusting my curiosity. Right? I was fed up enough with what wasn't working, right? Like it just wasn't working, that I was willing to try something very different and very new. And it was just something I was really curious about. I kept being curious about that thing, right? So follow your curiosity, investigate. You can always stop something, right? But if you're curious in something, follow your curiosity, get a little better information, learn a little bit more about that, and see if it resonates, right? Like, even though I was digging those ditches, when I went home that night, I was fucking proud, right? That was the first time in like a year and a half I felt good about myself, right? I had hardly earned any money. I was hot, I was dirty, I was sweaty, but it was undeniable. I felt proud of myself, and I actually enjoyed myself. I learned that I need physical activity. That's what I learned. I can't be in an office. I can't be dressed up in a suit all day, right? I learned something about that I like a lot of physical activity, and I like to physically be making something a lot. So that little curiosity led me to that, right? I'm not still digging ditches, but I do build almost every day. And when I'm frustrated or sad or depressed, or something's happening where I'm stuck in my life, the first thing I do is go and build something. I go and make something with my hands. I go cut a piece of wood. I go sand something. I go, right? I need that for my mental health. Like, I recognized, otherwise I'll just sit there and stew in my head, right? And that spiral starts, right? So I learned that follow your curiosity. And when you find something that sort of works a little bit, ask yourself, why is this working? Like, what need is this fulfilling in me? So, yeah.
I love that. I love that, man. That is a crazy story. I had no, okay, so this is what I thought we were going to, this is what I thought you were going to say, that you were somehow.
You say that every time. Every time you're like, where did Camille go?
Well, no, because before we even started and we didn't talk about it ahead of time. I didn't know where, yeah, every time we do a show with Camille, I am taken on a wild ride. I had no idea. But no, I thought you were going to say something like, I was teaching carpentry in college, or I was the professor. Right. I mean, just the way that all came together. And I think, and what I'm so passionate about is people just doing what makes them happy. And, what I'm doing here makes me so happy. I had no idea. I had no idea that this is what I needed in my life. And it's not about the money. It's about the fact that the energy, this is my oxygen. This is what I need for myself. I have to be doing this. If I don't have this, just like it was when I met for many years now, how I felt, where I was tired and depressed and questioning what I was supposed to be doing with my life, and feeling very unfulfilled and very lost and very mad at the fact that I had to have a job and I had to have money. And why couldn't I just be one of those people that could support myself, so I could go, I had some sort of rich auntie or something, so I could go out and
we all want that.
do what I wanted to do. But I was, I have a certain situation here. Not many people know this about me, but here's the thing with my life. And it's almost been, and now I know what the lesson is in it, but it's almost been torture. Because in my job, I'm a senior paralegal. I've been a paralegal for 27 years now. The kind of cases that I do and where I live in the world, I am surrounded by a lot of people. And I'm talking most people, a lot of people who have a lot of money. They have rich relatives. They have things handed to them. And they don't have to work for things. So and I say this many times, or had said this many times when I go to my job, it's like, is this some sort of torture, really, that this person who doesn't even have a brain cell has, so much, like, they don't even, in fact, I said this the other day. I said, listen, we have a client. I said, when I have a couple $1 million in the bank, I'm going to turn my brain off too. Like, I'm not going to use it, because that's what I run into. And it's just very, it's just that.
It's sort of negative. It's sort of negative on some level, because you're surrounded by things you really can't change. So you have to shield yourself from
Here's the thing. You want to know the lesson and all that? Here's what I'll tell you the lesson is on all that. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter if everybody hands you your life on a silver platter. At the end of the day, you are still the same person. And I will tell you what the funniest lesson of all of this is. Can you imagine if you have, I mean, people aren't happy. Okay. Money does not buy happiness. And I know that. I get to see that. I get to work
see it. People. Yep.
I get to work with
that
people.
Lesson over and over and over.
They have everything. They have everything, but they do not have the thing that money can't buy you. And that is inner peace. That is inner peace and happiness. And all the other things that go along with what everybody says about the things that money can't buy you. It's true. And so that is really
like real fulfillment.
Real fulfillment. You cannot buy it. And when you hit that lesson, I think that's even harder.
You can dig a ditch and enjoy yourself.
When you can dig a ditch
and go home and have a glass of wine.
Happy to dig a ditch. That is okay. So let's get to the questions. And I gotta, people are. I love this.
Are they asking any questions? I'd love to see what Joey's doing. You said she's remodeling.
Joey said hello to us. She loves your story. My friend Rachel, can you not see the on screen?
No.
So my friend Rachel says, be curious really resonates with me. It's not easy for me, but I continue to work on it. And that's the thing. You know the answer to the question, everyone, but you're just not asking the right question. And once you start asking those questions of yourself, they're not easy answers.
Or remember you and I talked about this personally, is get better information. That this is one of my books right here. Do it anyways. I think you're gonna ask me about my books, but I learned that probably 20 years ago. I think it was that statement: get better information. So if you find yourself stuck and your brain's just gonna keep recycling the same information you have. So if you can't solve a problem, or you're unhappy and you can't figure out how to get unstuck, or you don't like your whatever that thing is, right? Relationship, whatever. Get better information. Don't just get more information. Get better information. And so sometimes, like, you don't always know the answers, and you keep just, like you said, you keep asking yourself the same questions. But if you're not really getting any progress, what I would say is after a certain amount of time, you don't have enough information and you'd actually make a choice. That's what I did for you with the kitchen. I gave you better information. Yeah. And because it was better, it was specific to that topic, and it was good. It wasn't just do a kitchen remodel for $80,000, right? That wouldn't have been better information. That would have stopped you from moving forward. Now you're like, wow, we can actually afford this, right? So get better information is what I would tell people. If you're really
that's
stuck.
what I had to do that in December of 2017. I had bought a course, a very difficult course called Zero to Launch back in February of 2016. I knew I had wanted to have an online business.
Right.
It's a really difficult course. And in December of 2017, I finally said to myself, I made the declaration that, and this was a long road to get to me to say this, but I finally realized that, like, I have got to find people who are like me and who are doing what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is
information, right?
It's
not better people,
exactly.
People that you resonate with. That's better information. That's what I call. There's a fit. Like me with the dish. That was me getting better information. Something switched in me where I realized I can't be in a suit all day. I can't be dressed up all day. I like pretty stuff. I like being dressed up, but I have to have physical activity, and I was missing that physical activity.
I know, it's crazy because I'm like a completely different person than I was in December, and I think it's really funny now that I even thought that I would even be able to. There was no way I would be here doing what I'm doing right now if I didn't have all the people in my life that have helped me get here, that have believed in me, that have given me information, that have coached me, all the different things. I couldn't have done that. It would have taken me 10 years to get to what I'm doing.
They helped you see where your curiosity was gonna lead, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what they really helped me do? They helped me to do it and do it even if I was afraid. That's what
I know. That's another topic though, right? That's different than get better information. Then it's do it when you're afraid, or do it messy. Don't worry about what everybody's thinking. Just start. That's the biggest
thing for me. Okay, let me ask you a question.
Do the questions. This is
okay. So I'll start with the easy ones then. Okay. So first of all, like, what is your I am a reader. Books are my oxygen. What is your favorite book? It doesn't matter, fiction, nonfiction, whatever. I like to take notes on this.
I don't know. Oh, you can't see them on camera. Can you?
No. Well,
not really. Okay.
Not really.
I'll go through.
You have to tell us.
I'll list them. I am the same as you. I'm an avid reader. I have been for many, many years. I had so many books that I wanted to say. So I thought, well, I'm going to give like a little mix, and then we can go back and put them in the, comments. But I would say my top favorites of all time from a very, very young age are Atlas Shrugged. I don't know if you can see it.
Wow.
So Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand.
Okay.
These are, I don't know if you can tell how old these are.
Yeah,
they have been read and read and read probably 30 times each at different stages in my life. They're it's a novel, it's fictionalized, but they just deal with resilience and grit and being independent. And they just, in high school, I picked up Atlas Shrugged in high school, and I've reread it every time I needed inspiration to keep going when the journey seemed too hard or whatever. And going upstream, right? Me going against the current all the time. Like, I've done that a lot. So that's Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged. And then I have this little book is called Do It Anyways. And this is by Kent Keith. And I have reread this book so many times. Oh, here's my road company. Oh my God. See, this is funny. I haven't seen this in like 15 years. Oh my God. I don't even know why it's in this book. That's my Kim Box robe company business card.
I can't see it.
I know. That's so
A
funny.
robe company?
My robe, when I made robes. Spa robes?
Oh, robes. I thought you were saying roads. I was like, you did roads too? You did roads?
No. Spa robes. It's called Kim Box.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So this book it's very, very small and it's got like 10 lessons in it, but it is incredible when you keep having the same results in your life and you can't figure out like, why can't I make any progress? Why am I, these 10 things will get you off your ass. They will be like, yeah. So I absolutely love it. It really changed. I think I read this when I was like 20 or something like that. And it really changed my mindset. Now everybody talks about mindset, but back then there was no such thing as mindset, right?
Yeah.
This changed my mindset. So it's called Do It Anyways, which is part of do it when you're scared. Do it when you don't have any money. Do it when you don't think you can do it, right? Do it anyways. So that's motivational. And then I have a sort of a historical, but it's really, really fascinating. It's called The Radium Girls.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
It's a true story of these incredible women that used to paint the dials of watches back in the 1900s,
Wow.
1910s with radium. And they ended up getting lead poisoning. And they ended up like all these things happened to them. And it was the start of all the stuff that you have like with safety now in a workplace. Like you could be 6 years old and be employed for 40 hours a week. Like it's incredible. It's such a fascinating read that every single person that's read this cannot put it down. Like the first 2 pages, you cannot put it down. It's a true story. It's really good, really sad of all these things that happen, these beautiful girls. But yeah, it's called Radium Girls, The Radium Girls. You Will Not Put It Down by Kate Moore. And then I have 2 fantasy, whatever you want to call them, just fun reading. I love horses. I love animals. We had like horses when we were little. It's called The Horse Dancer. And she's kind of famous, Jojo Moyes. She's from England. You cannot put it down. Again, it's about a young woman that owns a horse in New York City, and the things that happens to her and the journey that she goes on. It's incredible. It's like you cannot put it down. It's so good. The Horse Dancer. Perfect summer reading by the pool. And then my last one is a really, really, I don't know if this was Oprah, but it's called My Absolute Darling. I don't know if you can see it because of the light.
Oh, kind of, yeah.
My Absolute Darling, and by Gabrielle Talent, and thriller, mystery, young woman protagonist again with her father. He's sort of a, like an outdoorsy, what's it called when you're like, like people that live off the grid. Like people that live off the grid.
Yep, I know
that level. Yeah, it's a thriller, a mystery. She's the protagonist. You cannot put it down. Like literally cannot put it down. My husband read both of these, The Horse Dancer and this one, and we're just like, he couldn't put it down. So those are my business books, history, but incredible history, true story, fictional, and motivational.
A real book lover when you ask them their favorite book and they can't pick one.
Oh, this is not.
Don't make me choose.
Yeah, this is not even the amount of books that are.
No, I know.
Just like, yeah.
I know. I'm going to have to be prepared for that because if I go on vacation, one of my bags, is all books because I can't decide. I like to read a lot of things at once.
Plus, I have them on my Kindle.
See, I do too, but I'm much more.
I like physical books too, but I always have like a backup. Plus, I usually buy a book at the airport. Yeah, I'm horrible with books.
Okay, so these are going to be much simpler questions, hopefully for you.
Good.
It's like 1-word answers, hopefully.
1-word answer, I know.
Okay, so I am so like music is my life. I use music to change my state. I every day I go through weekly. I have a song that every week is like the song that I'm going to go to that's going to fire me up. Do you have a song like that? Do you have one thing?
I do. Yep. I do. So my job, so we didn't quite finish my story. Maybe we'll do a part 3 of what I'm doing now. But sorry, Joey and Rachel, the girls that are still watching. I'm actually shutting my shop down, right? So I'm physically shutting my shop down, and I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm doing now. So for me, doing kitchens can be very, very stressful, right? There's a lot that goes on. The emotions are high. So it's it can be a very stressful, emotional job because I'm dealing with all women all day long, lots of money, lots of choices. And I'm sort of the person that's bearing the brunt of all of their emotions, of all the things they're working through, right? Not at me, just like in general, right? So it's a very emotional job. So usually I come home like pooped, wiped out mentally. So for me, I need like a real mental reset. And so usually I'll start cooking. You know, I like to cook. I do like a little cooking show. And so I cook almost every night. And so I'll start to prepare something. I'll get a glass of wine and then I'll put this song on. So I do it almost every single night. And the artist is called Tash Sultana, Tash, Tash Sultana. She's incredible. She's from Australia. She's this wild child, amazing guitarist, musician, singer. And there's just something about her wildness, her passion. She's an incredible musician. If you look her up and the name of the song is, oh my God, it's her first single of her very first album. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's
now
okay.
I'm blanking on it.
We'll put it in the notes.
Her second album just came out, and so now I'm like, it plays on my Spotify, and it's almost the very first song of her first album. But anyways, if you look her up online, you can see her play like about 15 instruments all at the same time. That's her thing. She's just incredible, and she just inspires me. It's just beautiful to see somebody. It's just beautiful to see a young girl be so fucking good at something, right? I just love it. Like I can watch her play, and she's just an incredible performer, an incredible singer, and her guitar playing is like Jimi Hendrix. Like off the charts, she inspires me. I'm like, I can be in a horrible mood and I can just watch that little YouTube video and I'm just like, wow, that's a human being doing exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah, I love that.
She nails it. And we saw her live in San Francisco, and it was just like, it was crazy. It was like mind altering with no drugs. She was that good. Like it was like going to another reality. She's that good. So
wow, I can't wait to hear that. I'm gonna look it up. I love Spotify.
Yeah, look her up online. She's got a very famous YouTube videos, and she's really talented. So very young.
With that, what's your favorite meal to cook?
Ooh, man, that's like the book thing and the music thing. I love so much food. Oh
my God. Just simple. Like
right now, I'd say my favorite latest recipe is my salmon burger. Make this incredible salmon burger. It's just like melts in your mouth. It's so flavorful. Everybody loves it. There's not a single burger left. Like it's my best recipe I probably ever came up with. As far as just producible and good. And then my other one, which I did a show with that one, which was that peach panzanella salad. Remember that peach panzanella salad that I made?
In the summer. I did.
Oh, it nails it. It kills it. You can make that every single time. There's not a single scrap of it left. Every time you make it or you bring it somewhere to somebody's party, it's like a showstopper. So I love that peach panzanella salad. Okay,
my last question to you. Here's my last question. And then as you're doing that, I'm going to check and see who's been here with us. I know Campbell just popped in. I want to say hello to the people who stopped by to see us. But here's my last question for you. What is one thing that you just cannot live without?
My cat, my Bun Bun. My baby Buns. Yeah, I think she's been on. She was on. Cat with the spiral stripes, with the big chubby paws and her big.
I saw her. You know when we were getting ready?
Yeah.
You were on
Betty. No, that was Betty.
Oh, you have two?
Yeah. That was Betty.
Your cat's name is Betty?
Yeah.
Oh, that was my grandma's name. I love that name.
Yeah, Betty Boop. Yeah. No, Bun Bun is my cat that's like a rabbit. She looks like your pillow.
Oh.
Your fluffy. Yeah, she's black and gray swirly. She's just a love bug. I mean, she's got these big chubby paws.
I love cats.
She just makes
I have my dog here driving me crazy.
Yeah, see? I cannot live without animals. So, animals, food and wine, books. Yeah.
Cats are much more low maintenance because cats just lay on the floor next to you Unlike my dog Bamboo, who has been driving me crazy pretty much.
No, I know. And I'm a massive animal lover of all kinds of animals. So I love dogs too. But yeah, I'd say my Bun Bun. Yeah.
All right, let me give a shout out to people before we wrap up here. Tamisha Campbell, hello.
Tamisha, yay.
Rachel, I'm not sure who's still here at this point because we've been going a really long time, but Rachel, Joey, hi, Joey. Send me questions, Joey.
Yeah, Joey, or post.
I have her on later in this month. She is incredible. Wait till you see. You guys would really make a good, you guys have the same kind of mind. You wait till you see what she's up to. My auntie's was here. I've got.
We should have Joey post some pictures of what she's remodeling.
I know. She probably didn't have a chance, but she had sent me a message and connected, and told me what she was working on and how inspired she was by last week's show and how much she had learned from you. So anyway, I guess that's like for this time, because I guess there's more to the story that we didn't even get into, which is fascinating. Why don't you go ahead and tell people, and I'll put the link there, but you also do live videos. You also have courses. People can connect with you online. If you want to run through that really quickly, where people can find you. And then, of course, I'll put it in the notes.
Right.
And we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. So what I'm doing right now is sort of shutting down my shop and transitioning all of my sort of expertise, whatever, the things I love, online. And so my latest two things are I'm doing a power tool class for women online. So I'm in the middle of betaing that. And then I also have a kitchen coach design class. So I teach kitchen design through like a group of 20 women. And so I'm getting ready. We just finished one class and I'm getting ready to start another class next month. And so that's called Kitchen Coach. Online Kitchen Coach is the Facebook page. And that's it. That's what I'm working on. So doing kitchen design with groups of women at the same time. So it's fun. It's like a Tupperware party, but with kitchens.
I know we have too much fun online, don't we, Camille?
We do.
That's what it's all about. All right, babe. Thank you so much for being here with us again today, and thank all of you for either being here with us live or watching on the replay. We totally appreciate it. Please, if you have any questions, Camille and I will answer those if you put them. If you put them up for us. So we'll say hello to you. So thank you guys. Have a great Saturday. And I will see you actually tomorrow. I'm doing another show tomorrow at noon with my friend Rachel is going to be here with us. So talking to really, really, oh my gosh, thank you for kicking this October off, Camille, with such a great story, because I have just so many incredible women and maybe one special guy on for the month of October. So we are going to hit it out of the park. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll be watching tomorrow.
I know, you always do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, you have a good Saturday.
Bye,
guys.
Bye, guys.